Welcome to this episode of Chatting with Staxx. I'm your host, Bill Staxx, and today I got Kirk. What's up, Kirk?
Just sitting around trying to deal with all the stuff we've been dealing with.
So you are the husband of the woman, Elizabeth, who was beaten in the bar in Mississippi.
Well, I'm not truly a husband. I'm her fiance, but we've been together almost 9 years. So you could say we're husband and wife. We fight like sometimes.
How did you get introduced to this club? Where are you from? And how did you even get introduced to the Galloping Goose?
Well, I got introduced through some friends of mine that we all rode together, and then some of them were in it. And this was years ago. And then I started in one of their support clubs that was down here, and I rode in the support club, and then kind of worked my way up like every member does. They work their way up, and then becomes on up to the bigger clubs.
So how long were you in this club for?
Several years, at least 6 years between both of them, seven maybe. I don't know, somewhere in there.
Now, did you ever have any problems with any of these club members? Was there any fights or anything like that? Was there internal
No,
conflict?
no, never have had any internal conflict, no fights, no nothing, no issues with the club whatsoever.
No issues with your club and your significant other, your woman?
N- No, not with the club. Her either. And she didn't even know this guy other than when I've introduced him to her before.
So how did you meet this guy and what were your interactions with him before the situation happened?
Basically just through the club. I met him because he was in a different chapter, and as you were in chapters, you go around from meet all your local chapters first, but then you'll end up going to your nation nationals and stuff like that, and you end up meeting them all, or they came down here because you have different get-togethers, parties, however you want to put it. And as you come up and being prospects or being in smaller clubs, you get to know them all, and that's part of being a club member.
Or was there any signs that things are did you ever see them assault women or anything like that in the past?
No, never have.
Tell me about your exit from the club. You're in the club for 6 years, and so what do you go to them and say, "I can't do this anymore"? Like, walk me through what happened on your
Well,
last
I
day.
exit. Yeah, I exited the club mainly because of several reasons, but it was a lot of personal. I had between 2.5 years, I was in a head-on collision. I was in two motorcycle wrecks, and then I also fell off a building on the third story, putting siding on landed on the side of a truck in concrete, fractured my hip, and then fractured ribs. So I mean, it was one of them things that I could not ride. You're required to make certain rides every year, and I'm not able to make them rides because some of them are pretty long rides, and so therefore, not being able to make them rides, it was one of them personal things that I knew that I wasn't gonna try to justify myself in a club that I couldn't do what was required of me.
Yeah, but are there people that don't ride their bikes in the club?
No, pretty much everybody has to ride their bike, and that was a big thing going on that when I got out of, because some people did show up on long distance and wasn't riding, which some of them been around for 20, 30 years, and so it was one of them things. But it is a bike club; it's not a truck club per se. That's the way we say it. And so it was a little thing in between the clubs saying, okay, you can get away with it once or twice, but sooner or later they're going to vote you out bad because you stand in something that you can't handle or can't do. And why get voted out bad and you get put out bad when you can just get out.
Yeah, the MC doesn't mean more cars, right?
Right, right, exactly.
When you wanna exit the club, do you go there and tell them, say, "Listen, I can't make these runs," and do you lay your patch down? Like, how does the process work?
Yeah, basically.
Do you get to keep your patch? Like, well,
No, no, no. You don't keep your patch. You give it. I mean, it's club material. Your patch is. Now your cut ain't, but your patch is. So you gotta give your patches back.
oh,
Which
so you don't
basically
you
on the
don't
Galloping Goose is a center patch. You may pay for it, but it's only yours by borrowed.
yeah,
Until
you're
you get
renting
out.
it. You're
Right,
renting it.
right. That's it.
So now did you have love for this club? Like, was this a tight-knit group?
I did have love for the club at one time. I thought they had my back. I had their back, as far as, but now I would have never, even as a patch holder, I would have never let that happen. And most of the people that I know would not have let it happen. Uh, Patches, older people, older generations, things change, Uh, I, I've had older people reach out to me and they condone this. They don't agree with it at all, but it is what it is. I mean, one guy can make everybody smell bad, but then you have other ones that don't even know how to step in and do their job, and stop a guy from screwing himself or the club over. He should have been stopped right away. And the other guys, they're all a bunch of cowards to me.
100%. Walk me through when you get the call from her and you find out about this whole situation.
Well, at first I didn't really. When I got the call, she was crying. She hung up, and then her phone was off. And then she went to the hospital. Well, I didn't see her until she got home from the hospital. Well, once I seen her, and she got home, but she didn't get home till the next morning. And when I found out, and I was busy doing other things, and I had my own stuff going on. But that was like her and me. She'll go away and she'll stay with her friends. And she'll come back next night. Well, I didn't talk to her till she had came home. When I seen her when she come home, her whole face on that left side of her face was just swollen out. Her eye was shut, everything. And I said, "What in the happened to you?" And she told me, and I was in disbelief. I really in just disbelief. And I reached out to him. I said, "What happened?" And I asked him. He said, "I said, what the happened?" The local president. He told me that, oh, he wasn't there. He didn't see none of this happen. And Elizabeth come in and she was poking on his head and they kept telling her to leave, or she spit on him and they kept telling her to get out of here and this and that. And it was all a bunch of lies. It was a total bunch of lies. So I went there to get the video because once I figured out, I want to get a copy of this video and see what really happened. I know what she told me. I know it, and I want to see exactly what caused this because it's in disbelief that he would just automatically do this. It
Yeah.
was hard for me to fathom it because I can't see him just jumping up and doing what he did, and I still to this day it's hard to fathom that that's what he did. But it's videos don't lie.
No.
They do not lie. They can say what they want to because I've got these reaching out to me and putting anonymous numbers and everything else, but won't give me their name. And videos don't lie. And if they're a true 1%er, give me your name because I don't really give. And but they want to sit there and sit there and justify what they did, and which is bullshit. You can't justify any of this. I don't give a shit who you are. You cannot justify it now. Now you may have been hyped up on your or whatever, and this happened. I don't know, but I do know what happened was not right.
So now this happened a while ago, and she was trying to let them rectify it within
Well, we
the
never even got
club.
a. That's correct. We thought, okay, the club's going to take care of it. Surely the club's going to take care of it. But at this point, we still have not seen the video because we couldn't get a copy of the video. But we were letting I reached out to a couple of the members of the club, told them what happened. Nobody wants to believe it. And then I understand there was a lot of lies in it. And so at this point, I haven't got to see the video. And so, a month goes by before we can actually see the video. We have to go down there.
What about the bartender? Did you ask all
The
them what
bartender,
happened?
well, the bartender ain't even going to talk to us because that's the president's wife of the local club. That the one sitting there drinking the beer, holding his ass back, is a guy that should have put a stop to all this nonsense right off the bat because he is the local president. He should have never let this happen. And instead, he steps back and lets it happen. And then that's his wife that's a bartender. And then we learned today now, and what are we, a month and a half into this, we learned today that there was a panic button right there for him. So why in the hell the bartender didn't hit the panic button when this fall went down? But I was told by the other guy sitting at that table that he come in when the went down outside. He come in and told them to call the owner and to call the police before this ever got inside. So this could have been prevented long prior to this. It could when they were supposed to call the cops. They were told to call the cops by a guy when this was outside. Instead, they didn't call the cops then.
did a situation happen before this video emerged? Like, so was there an
No,
altercation outside?
no, there was no. There's before this video arrived, the guy that confronts her has bought us rounds and drinks at places. She did not do nothing. He knew her, and if she would have been there with me, he probably never would have said a word. And the problem is he had something else on his mind that day, and I don't know if he was hopped up on whatever he was hopped up on, but he something else was on his mind that day, and he all of a sudden just wanted something to react to, and I don't know what it was that he wanted to react to, but he took it out on a woman.
So what happens when you go down? Tell me about the process of going down and
So
finally seeing this video.
well, the first process is we contacted the bar owner, Mike, and I said, I'd like to see the video. He said, okay, y'all can come down and I'll let y'all see it. I can't really give you a copy, but you can see it or you can tape it on it. And I said, I need to see the video to see what really can happen. I want to know what really happened. I want to see the video. Okay, you can come. So this is at nighttime at about 6:30 at night. And I want to say it was like a Monday night. And I said, I'm on my way down there now, Mike, because he was leaving. I said, I'll be there within 20, 30 minutes because the bar's 20, 30 minutes from us. So we jump in my truck. She puts on a hoodie and everything because her eyes still swollen shut and all this other stuff, and her face is messed up. So we head to that bar. Well, as soon as I walk in the bar, lo and behold, Mike's sitting at the table in the back where they first started the video at. They're all sitting around a table with two of the gooses, one of them being, and then another guy that was a ex prospect, and he's sitting there with them. So I said, I want to see what I want to see the video, Mike. Can we go see? He said, well, he wants to talk to you before you see a video. I said, all right. I looked. I said, what you got? What's up? And he says, as Mike went outside with Mojo at this time, he looked at me in the face, square in the face. Don't ask how nobody is, or man, I'm sorry that this happened, or anything. His first words, right square out of his mouth, is what's your end game with this? That's what he looks at me and says, what's your end game? Dude, I want to punch him right square between the eyes. I was pissed. And I unleashed on him right there. I was mad, mad. And is everything that held me inside just to keep from freaking hitting him. And if he just shut up and he stood back, he didn't want to say nothing else because he knew I was pissed. So I went back outside and I said, Mike, we're gonna see the video. And he said, man, he said, my insurance said that I can't release the video for you to see. He said, I know it seems funny that you walk in here, but they just sent this to me and said I can't release the video. I said, Mike, you gonna tell me it's 7 o'clock at night and you just now get this from your insurance company? I said, I don't believe that, Mike, but okay. If that's the case, that's the case. If you're not gonna let me see it, there ain't nothing I can do about it right now. But I will get the video and we will release it. So when this all come out, right as you get it and everything, is when we finally get the video. Because everybody's saying, why is it wait so late? Why is this that? Or that was his old man, her old man. Oh, that's all. That's
That's what
people
people are
freaking running.
saying. Yeah. They're like,
They should
his
run in their freaking mouth that
yeah.
don't know a thing that's going on. Instead of them looking at the video, they're going to say that's her old man. If it was her old man, in which it ain't, because I'm her old man, he still wouldn't have had the right to do that. I
No.
don't give it. If that was her old man, I'd beat his too. I don't give a. This is that this happened to a woman. It didn't happen to anybody, but to a freaking woman. If you're a true 1% person and you stand for what you are, because that's the way they are. They don't go around beat up on women. They're supposed to be, you know, men, not mouses.
And stand up to there's supposed to be a standard
That's
level
correct.
of that they're supposed to live by with the patch on their back and not
That's
act in
correct.
that way because it makes the whole club look bad, right?
That's correct. That's correct. There is so much to that you stand for when you have that patch. And that's the thing. When you go out in public, you're representing that patch. You're representing who you are. And if you can't, and that's what you call representing your club, you don't belong in that club. And it really pisses me off that people are sitting there, and I've got several of them that text me anonymous and everything else and want to sit there and say stuff to me, but yet they can't freaking come out and say it and put their name behind it. If you're that kind of a mouse, you don't deserve to even be in a club.
They don't let you see the tape then, right? What happens
Nope.
next?
Well, next we come back, we end up coming back to the house, and then it was that was one of the other things they want to know why it took several days for her to call the cops. Well, they got to understand. First of all, she went to the hospital and stayed there all night long. She drove herself home that morning, and then that's when I seen her. Then she stayed in bed for almost a week, several days before we got up and went back down there. And then when she got back, she had called the cops, and now this is, she had called them to come over here to file the report. So they come over here and just file, but she didn't file charges yet. She just filed the report. We were waiting to see what was going to happen because I contacted club members. I contacted several people and said, hey, this took place. Well, I understand that I got put out bad right away for calling the cops. Well, this is
But you
all.
you didn't
I didn't
even
even.
call the cops.
No, I did not call them. That's the thing, And I told him I didn't give a shit. I don't care. You can put me out bad over this shit if you want to, if that's what you think. If that's the kind of men you are, I don't want to be part of it anyway. And so I got other brothers of mine that they're talking about that may got put out bad because of this shit too. It's very unearthing that people would stand behind and think this is good behavior. I got a bunch of them that says there ain't. Now I will say that, but any of them that doesn't pull that patch and shove that thing down his throat right now, that's what should happen. He should be put out bad on his without thing on.
The president too probably should be put out.
Absolutely, 100%.
So you don't get to see the video that time. She heals up, and what happens next?
Right now, what happened next is this: we're trying to make
No,
this
no,
thing.
you don't see the video by this
No,
time,
no,
right?
no, I
No,
don't
no.
say it. No, I haven't seen no video. I haven't seen it until she finally goes down and presses charge it. And this like a month later, maybe when y'all got the video. That's when she finally goes and press charges because she didn't press charges until then. And then they want to tell her that, now, oh, well, it waited so long. It's a simple assault or this or that. Well, there's just a bunch of, it's not a simple assault. Anybody thinks that's a simple assault. In fact, anytime you continuously beat on somebody that's down, that becomes another layer of
It's like
neg,
a felony.
it's
It's a
a
felony.
felony, right?
Yeah.
And this
He was
guy's already had been in prison for a felony.
he was hitting
So,
her good.
dude,
Like he was punching her like a man,
that's right. You're right. That's what I'm saying. He says, you want to ride like a man and this and that. Well, here you go. And he's sitting there punching her, saying things like this to her. He told me. Well, because she rides more than most men do. She rides more than him. Most men, she outrides most men because she's on her bike all the time, riding all over the freaking place. That's one thing I can say. Rain, sleet, snow, it wouldn't matter to her. She's on her bike riding. And a lot of men, they get they can't believe it, that she's out there doing that.
Now, what do you think when you finally see the video and you
Oh,
see for your
tell you,
own eyes what happened?
I'm furious. I am. I'm fired. Right now I'm out for blood, and I gotta watch. And I know I gotta watch what I do. Everything else, I know I don't need to be doing certain things, but I tell you right now, I'm out for his blood one way or the other. I want him in jail. I want something happening to him. I want him stripped of everything. I want everything he's got taken from him. I mean, he doesn't deserve to be freaking anything. I got to watch what I say. I'm very unearthed about this.
I would be too.
I
I
come
mean,
from old school. He would be taken out back and be given a good lesson.
you finally see the video. Do you reach back out to them, and what
Oh
do they
yes,
say when you
yes,
finally
yes.
tell them what you've seen?
I, they separate themselves from me.
Do they acknowledge that this happened, and
That
do you say you guys should pay her hospital bills? You should make this right?
ain't none of them said anything about making anything right. Ain't none of them reached out to us and said, as far as the ones that's is responsible and the locals. Ain't nobody even freaking said that we're going to take care of things. All they say is, "What do you expect us to do?" Or what, what's your end game? Or, it's just smart remarks. You're putting a black eye on the club now. This is the things we get. And it's like, no, we didn't put a black eye on the club. Y'all put a black eye on the club.
They
Y'all,
did
y'all
it to
did this to yourself.
themselves.
Right,
Yeah,
right. And they're trying to do everything they can do to sit there and push everybody else the other way, And, they don't think that, she was coming back because she goes to a cancer center and she has to drive an hour and a half, 2 hours every time she goes one way over to this Mary Bird Perkins over in by Baton Rouge. And we're over here in Mississippi. She goes over there at least there for a while is once, twice a week sometimes, and now she's going at least once every week or every other week, and she's got several things going on with her, and one of them is lesions in her head, her skull, and her brain. So it could have killed her, and not thinking about it, it could have. And she's got appointments moved up because they've been watching these. They they watch them. Nothing's happened because they don't want to go in there and just do brain surgery automatically and cause more problems. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes opening something up, if it's not to the growth part yet, you don't open it up, and that's the way it's kind of explained to us. I don't know
it'll
how to.
spread.
I'm
Yeah, it'll
not. Yes,
spread.
I'm not a cancer doctor, so all we can do is go back and forth. And anybody that wants to sit there and say she don't have it, well, we go to the doctor enough. Obviously there's some form of some kind of cancer, because we go to doctors all the time for cancer center. We're in the cancer center all the freaking time. And so I don't listen to their bullshit anymore, their lies, their deceitfulness. They're dishonest, and they try to narrate things to make it look in their favor. Well, they can't narrate this enough to be in their favor, as far as I'm concerned.
I mean, there is no rebuttal that they have for this because it's a pure disgusting what he did to her.
It's pure disgusting. It's total pure disgusting behavior, and for them to let him even wear that patch anymore, it's putting a black eye on them for wearing that freaking patch right now. I've been told all kinds of things. I've been told that if it keeps up, my life is going to be in jeopardy or this that. I don't care. What the hell? You know I do not care. I don't. This is going to get out there, and I support my old lady. That right there, what happened to her is total. And anybody that looks at that knows otherwise. They can say what they want to. They can put it out there however they want to put it. I've been told all kinds of stuff, that you know, I'm at jeopardy if I'm out on the road or this or that. I don't care. I don't care. I'm easy to find. I don't hide. That's one thing I don't do is hide.
But you still need to watch out for your old lady being by herself on the road
Oh,
and
absolutely. That's
you know.
she's slowed down a lot because she used to write. She loves to sing. She has her own little. She even has one song that somebody trying to publish, and she wrote songs and she sings all the time. That's what she does. She loves going to bars to sing. She loves karaoke, and she's a very talented person, very talented artist. She can take a mural. She can look you and draw you out right like you stand right there, and not look at you
She
again.
did the artwork at the clubhouse.
She did all the artwork at the clubhouse that everybody was commending how good it was and everything. And she free-handed it better than most people can freaking put the thing down and sketch it. That's how talented. I watched her do it. I've watched her do so many murals. It's breathtaking that things that she does. She's got a photographic memory, very talented, very artistic, and she's had cancer before, and so for a long time she couldn't sing and this and that because it was throat cancer, and she got it back. It was in her carotid artery, and but now she's up singing again, and she loves to sing. She loves to go out and sing, so she goes out and sings karaoke at these bars, and she sings with a couple band members that want her in her band now, and stuff like that. So she goes and she gets herself put out there so people can hear her, and she sings all over. We went to Texas from vacation not too long ago, and she was in the bar, and they were just all ecstatic how good she was and the way she was blowing out some blues musics and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's a very talented person, but
The
she don't take
bar
crap. She
the
doesn't take crap though, and
the
that's the
bar
thing
can
that
be held liable for this situation.
I believe so.
What do you think about the bar being held
The
responsible?
bar is,
Because they didn't
you
hit
know,
the
they
panic button, they didn't call the police, she threw a rag at her.
Well, here's my deal with them. They're good people as far as I know, but I don't know them. But here's my thing: if that was my bar, first of all, they wouldn't be allowed in there. None of them. And I don't mean that just that one guy. I mean none of them would be allowed in there wearing that patch. First of all, because they just showed what it is, and then the I guess you'd call her the little bartender, should have been fired immediately. She should not be allowed in there. Why in the hell the bartender? But none of that has happened. Yeah, you're trying to save face on your bar and they're your friends and all, but all you've done is sit there and promote that, because now you still got them in there. You can say you increase security or put more cameras up or whatever you want to say, but you still have them at that bar. You say you support Mojo. Why are they still at that freaking bar? If you support her, why are they still there? Because they had the opportunity to freaking call the cops. And they say, oh, well, Mojo called the cops. She come out and called me. But why in the hell does she have to get up off the bar and with bleeding blood all over the bar with a rag in her face, go locate a phone from somebody and try to call instead of the
When
bar
they're
call?
all
And then,
witnessing it. Everybody's
yeah,
witnessing the
yeah,
situation.
and and she don't leave for 5 minutes later. That's something you don't even see. She's sitting there at the bar bleeding and stuff and don't leave for 5 minutes. They got up and left. Well, nobody still didn't call the police. They didn't call an ambulance to see if she needed to be checked on or anything else. And yet she has a fractured jaw. She had go have her head glued back together where it was lesions and stuff like that, and her jaw's all swollen out now. But nobody called the ambulance, the cops, nothing to see if she was okay. She had to have one guy help her pick her bike up off the ground because the big piece of threw it down on the ground. That, that threw it straight down on the ground and busted her bike up, and then we had to fix. So what kind of is that? I mean, what kind of man are you? You know, you're not a
Videos,
man.
that's on video too, right?
Yeah, that's on video. It just wasn't released out. You
Wow.
know, it- it's all on video.
One of these videos has 143,000 views, and that's one of them. There's multiple videos on different platforms, and it's
Right.
going viral. A lot of people are got eyes on this situation. What do you want to happen to the bar, and what do you want to happen to the people involved with this situation?
Well, what I would like is a good lawyer first, man, and let the lawyer talk to us about it. I don't want to get into legal, but they are liable for nothing else for her her freaking pain and suffering that she's going through right now, and her doctors. Yeah, I'm not worried about me, but I'm worried about her. I mean, people don't know that I have to live with this woman every day, and every day of her life she's reliving this now.
Yeah.
And especially since this freaking, she was already bad enough, but once she's seen the video, it just all it does is bring back, and now it's just like PTSD. Every day of her life she's just freaking going through this, and it's hard because she can't sleep. She paces all night. She's upset. She's mad. And she's sad. She's got feelings, and she don't know which way to go. She's gonna have to get some kind of therapy help. It's gonna have to be something. And then she's still got more medical to go after. Now that we got to go to her cancer center is fixing to. We had to move it up, and so now we got to go back down there for that. And it's sad. It really is. And for them to
So
just get scot
yeah.
free away from it right now, I just can't. I don't even understand how that works.
So if there's a lawyer out there and you're watching and you want to help these people, maybe you can push them in the right direction or show them what to do, where to go. This is a major lawsuit on your hands, on the lawyer, whoever takes this case's hands. I mean, the bar's responsible. This guy that
Club,
did the assault, these other people just standing around watching. Some people think it's no big deal. It's a guy beating up a girl. That's crazy.
how
Anyone
can
that
you think that?
excuses this type of behavior, it's disgusting. It really
That's
is.
correct.
Whoever excuses this,
We've
there there is
we've
no
had we've
reason
had
that
all
this
kinds
should
of
happen.
people reach out to us that this is disgusting. Even people in other clubs, and and they all are really upset about this happening. And but the people that freaking sit there and act like this ain't nothing, they need it to happen to them and say that. That's all I can say, because I bet that'd be a whole different story.
Yeah, if it was their wife or their
Their
girlfriend.
wife, their daughter, I mean, you got to think of it. Your wife, your daughter, your mother, whatever. You know,
So what are you guys gonna do moving forward? What are your plans besides getting a lawyer and doing all this situation?
honestly, I got to get her some therapy, some help, because this is really getting. She's crying 50% of the day. You know, and by the way, thank y'all for all your support. I really appreciate it. Just reaching out to us, the ones that like you have reached out to. Thank you for your support. That is really
Yeah,
helping us out. And
no
but
doubt.
We got to get her some kind of therapy. I got to get her into something, and then of course I'll go forward, and we're just gonna take it day by day. Is all I can do right now, and see what happens day by day. Because I can't make things happen, you know, but y'all's voice and the voices of everybody else that has supported us and the voices that's helping us, that's you know that right there is going to do more than me just talking about it.
And what do you
You
think about the people burning their support gear?
know, that's people that support us, that's known us, and I love them. They showing support for Mojo because they think it's a bunch of, they are pissed off big time over this happening because they cannot freaking support any kind of person that's going to act like this, and that's their whole thing.
Now, what do you got to say to your old brothers that you used to have? Because this used to be your club.
No,
Like what?
I love a
Yeah,
lot of my brothers. I talk to some of my old brothers every day. And I don't want to mention names on here, but I do have a lot of brothers in there that have reached out, a few of them. And but they do not like this type of behavior. They condone it. The ones that I have talked to, and I love them. They've supported me, them. Now there's a lot of them that's not in there no more, with me. Some of my chapter, several of us got out right at the same time, and so they're not in the chapter no more because I got out. Our president got out, which there's a couple others got out. But here's the thing: is they would have not allowed this to happen if we would have had this chapter and we would have been here at this time. That would have never happened. The problem is we're not in it no more. You got other people coming up, and you got people in there that should not be a president, obviously, because he can't make decisions. He don't know how to make decisions. He don't know how to freaking, it's sad. It really is that this has come to this. And I don't like talking bad about a club that I did love and support, but I'd be damned if I'm gonna let them sit there and bash my old lady like this either.
yeah, they're
And
not all bad. The whole
no, no,
Galloping Goose is not
no,
bad. It's only the individuals in this video that we're talking about. Like we don't want to put a stain on the whole club
no,
because
no, I
there's a
do
lot
not.
of good guys out there.
But I do want the club to freaking take him out. But when I say take his patch, put him out bad. Show some support for us instead of letting him stay in there. He does not need to be in that club because all he's doing is putting a black eye on that club. And if they want to sit there and let their do that because they got the right, they could vote him out. He can
Yeah.
be voted out. And he can be taking this patch plumb off his back right there in front of everybody. And that's what needs to happen. He
So
needs to be stripped of it.
if they took his patch and they came out and made a statement saying they condone this type of behavior, would that be enough for you?
I can't say it'd be enough for me or her, but I would be along the lines that would be a better because they've had time to do this. But yes, it would actually make a lot things a lot better for us with the club. Because I mean,
Yeah.
she rides with air. She rides around that guy that was there that should have stopped it. She's in that bar with him every freaking week, buying him drinks, or they're buying her drinks, and she's singing with them and everything else, and every week. And yet, you're gonna let it happen because you're too scared to step in front of this other guy. I mean, are you a 1%? Or are you? That's the way I look at it. You should have stepped in there. And you could have stopped it. You could have stopped it from the very first get go when she walked in that door and he started hollering at her and this and that. He could have pulled him off to the side and said, "Hey, let's squash this. Not here. We're not
Where are
doing
they
this."
coming up with this information about the stolen bike and all that? Where
There,
do you
there's so
think this
many.
is
There's so
coming
many
from?
specific. This could go. There's so many things that they want to run their mouth and say this and that. Well, I don't know which one they're talking about. I mean, it's stupid. It is plumb stupid that they're even saying it. First of all, my old lady wouldn't know how to steal a bike. And, and so first of all, this it's a bunch of crap. The only bike she's ever rode is the bikes I bought her, and that's the one she's riding right now. And she's had one other bike, and that's it. So it's a bunch of, and I've heard so many stories. She stole a $20,000 bike. She stole this bike. She stole that. I don't, dude. It's just stories being made up. And you know what it amounts to is that she stood up to that man. And when she stood up to him, it embarrassed him, because it embarrassed him in front of his other patch holders, because he's supposed to be this big badass man. And so he stood up, she stood up to him and put him down in his place, and he could not handle it. And that's what it amounted to. And when he couldn't handle it, he got embarrassed. And so what does he do? He lashes out because he's embarrassed now. And that's
Yeah.
what happened. I mean, that's as simple as that. I mean, there's no other way to put it. He got embarrassed because she would not freaking cow down to him.
Tries to ban her from the bar, and she's like, "I'm gonna drink my beer," right?
Right, right. She's standing up. She's freaking holding her ground. And she takes a whooping and still stands there and still didn't just up and leave.
He didn't even knock her out either. He
No,
tried.
no, no, he tried.
No,
No,
it's just crazy that this even happened. I'm so sorry for her having to go through all this. And
Miss Staxx, I appreciate you even talking to us about it and putting it out there. I appreciate it. I really do.
yeah, anything I could do for you in the future moving forward. If there's a lawyer out there that wants to reach out to this family and help them get some help and point them in the right direction, reach out to him. Me, we'll put the link in the description of this video. And are you guys going to start a GoFundMe or anything to help with the medical bills?
We need to. We haven't yet. We've been told by one guy he was going to get with us about starting one. One of the other guys that did local here, but I don't know. I, that when it becomes technology like that, I'm old school technology. I'm still just above the flip phone. So
I
I
appreciate you
appreciate it.
taking the time. And is there anyone you
Thank
want to
you.
give a shout out to before we go?
No, no, I just appreciate you giving us the time and the effort. And I do want to say that thank you for all the ones that support Mojo.
Definitely. If you guys like this show, hit the like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you can get my videos every time they drop. And if you don't like this show, too bad. Start your own podcast. Peace.
Amen.
Thanks, man.